Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Little Lotus Love Tales. I'm your host, Neha Saraya, a corporate mom, an entrepreneur in the making, and your fellow traveler on this journey of balancing business, family, and sanity. Today, I want to share something that's been on my heart and has honestly saved my sanity in 5 years of parenting. These are the 5 micro habits that I have started practicing that make parenting more mindful, peaceful, and connected. These habits are not big overhauls. Rather, they are small, sustainable shifts that build emotional intelligence, reduce stress, and help create a more intentional home. And the best part, each one is backed by science, parenting theory, or psychology research. So if you're into gentle parenting, Montessori vibes, or just trying not to lose it, you are in the right place. Let's dive in. So, the first mindful practice I want to talk about is the one in, one out rule. Now, this is a simple rule we follow at our home when a new toy, book, or item comes in. It is simple: one goes in, one goes out. It could be donated, passed on to a friend, or even recycled. Now, why this works? This practice aligns with the Montessori method, which emphasizes simplicity, order, and intentional environments. According to a research from the University of Toledo, toddlers with fewer toys actually play more creatively and for longer durations. While more stuff can lead to distraction and overwhelm, less stuff allows deeper engagement. It also introduces the idea of minimalism and gratitude early on. Instead of accumulating endlessly, we are choosing what we truly love and value. I'll give you an example. Recently, we were helping our daughter transition to being diaper free at night. And to make it more exciting and meaningful for her, we turned this into a little ceremony. She packed her diapers into a gift bag for her friend's baby sister and even wrote a letter to the fairy with a wish list of toys that include Gabby dollhouse figurines and new underwears. In that moment, she didn't just understand one in and one out rule, but she felt it. She embraced the joy of giving, the excitement of letting go, and the thoughtfulness of sharing something she had outgrown. And my heart absolutely melted. It was no longer just a parenting principle, but it had become a value she truly lived. The second micro habit I want to talk about is setting timers for transitions. I call it the TT method. We use timers for few kinds of transition. It could be for screen time, study time, play time, brushing your teeth time, end of play time, or even snack breaks. Now, why this works? Young kids struggle with transitions because they lack a fully developed prefrontal cortex, which is the brain region responsible for self-regulation and time management. Using a timer gives them a visual and auditory cue that helps prepare their brain for change. Dr. Laura Markham, author of Peaceful Parent, Happy Kids, recommends timers as a tool for setting respectful boundaries. The timers becomes the boundary, not the parent. This reduces power struggles and give your child a sense of control. In our home, we use Alexa to set timers. Any of us, me, my husband, or even our daughter, would say, Alexa, set a timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and this gives her a cue to wrap whatever she is doing in that set time. And this has specially helped us for TV schedules. I used to dread turning off the TV. It always ended in a meltdown. One day, I introduced a simple 5-minute timer. I told her, I'm setting up the timer, and when Alexa beeps, the time is up for TV. To my surprise, when the timer ended, she not only turned off the TV herself, but went to playing. By doing this, she automatically transitioned into a new activity. The third micro habit that may sound like a little border, but it's called read for the ask rule. I first got this idea from this Indian billionaire who mentioned that how he asked his kid to read books for everything. If they want something, a toy, a treat, an experience, or extra screen time, they have to read for it. One book for a small ask, 2 or 3 for something bigger. And here's why it works. This exercise taps into the science of delayed gratification made famous by the Stanford Marshmallow Experiment conducted in 1972. The experiment shows that the kids who learned to wait ended up having better outcomes in school, relationships, and emotional regulation later in life. It also builds a love for reading, strengthens the bond, and transforms the moment of want into a mindful connection. So in our home, our daughter knows that already that if she wants a dress or a toy, what she has to do. She comes and asks, Mommy, can you read this book for me? And that is before even negotiating. And let me tell you, hearing that instead of a full blown demand fit is quite a blessing. The fourth micro habit that I implement in not just her life, but in my life too, are saying positive affirmations daily. For her, it's a nightly routine before bed where we say 2, 3 affirmations together like, I am kind, I am strong, I am loved. My daughter loves saying it and they are usually short, sweet, and powerful. And why this is essential? Because research in neuroscience shows that repeated positive affirmations can reshape neutral pathways. According to a study in social cognitive and affective neuroscience, positive affirmations activates the brain reward centers, helping children build self-esteem and resilience. This also connects to Carol Dweck's growth mindset theory, which states when kids believe traits can be developed through effort, they are more likely to persevere. In our home, this 30-second ritual has created some of our most peaceful bedtime moments. And yes, I have added a few for myself too. The last micro habit may sound a bit weird because it goes against the natural instinct of motherhood, but hear me out first. It's called the let them cry and let them lead practice. Now, when I say let them cry, I do not mean to not caress or pacify your child when they're upset or are expressing emotions. It merely means to delay that action for few seconds or few minutes. Let me explain this with an example. Yesterday, my daughter was crying for a cookie that she wanted to eat. I asked her to finish her dinner before the cookie. That made her upset, naturally. And as she wanted to have the cookie first, she had a meltdown. Now, my original instinct is to give her the cookie and stop her from crying. But having practiced this habit for quite some time now, I just didn't jump in to fix it. Instead, I asked her, do you want mommy to comfort you or do you want to cry a bit more? On hearing this, she cried loudly for a bit and then got into my arms and started getting normal. She was still mad at me, but we were able to negotiate a deal. Now, why this worked? This is rooted in attachment theory by John Bowlby and the work of Dr. Daniel Siegel, who introduced the concept of name it to tame it. When we acknowledge emotions without trying to distract or minimize, it activates the prefrontal cortex and helps kids build emotional regulation skills. According to a 2020 study in development psychology, when parents validate emotions, children show lower cortisol levels and better coping mechanisms long term. By doing this, we are providing an emotional autonomy to the kids. So there you have it, mamas. 5 small habits that are designed for real life and can make parenting a little easier. So let's do a quick recap. The 5 micro habits are 1 in, 1 out rule, timers for transitions, read for the ask, nightly affirmations, let them cry and lead their response. And the best part is that none of these require perfection. They just need presence. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. What micro habits are you using as a parent? Do you have any personal success stories to share? Reach out to me on social media or drop me a message. And don't forget to share this episode with fellow parents who could benefit from these tips. Until next time, keep trusting your gut, honoring your pace, and sprinkling a little love on every day. The information provided in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered professional, financial, medical, or parenting advice. While we do our best to provide accurate and up-to-date insights, we encourage you to do your own research and consult with relevant experts before making any decisions. Always use discretion when implementing new strategies in your parenting journey. Thanks for listening.